Hello and good evening. Welcome to Pod 19. I'm Drew, also known as GSG.
Hello, I'm Sarah, also known as Airsoft Vixen. And tonight we've got Simon on from the Headless Chickens squad.
Hello.
Hi Simon, thank you for coming on this evening.
Thanks for having me.
Just a couple of things to mention before we get started. What have you been up to? We are currently in the process of our next article to go in the Airsoft International magazine, so that should hopefully be out in the next month or so. That's got some really good content on there, so make sure you keep an eye out for that. We've also got our meetup coming up very, very soon, 27th of October. That's at Warzone, so it's a normal skirmish, so come along and say hello to some UK. If you're a female wanting to get involved in Airsoft, that's your chance to come along and say hello and meet some more like-minded females playing as well. So yeah, hello Simon, thank you for joining us this evening.
Thanks. Like I say, thanks for having me on. I know it's been a while since we're meeting, getting this put together, and thanks for having me.
Really
and congratulations on what you created as well. It's always been nice from afar to watch it grow, and obviously having Mills in the team, always get the inside track on what's happening and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, congratulations on everything you've done with UCAL to date, and hopefully I'll find out more about what you're going to do in the future.
Thank you, appreciate that. Yeah, it's growing very quickly, shall we say. First things first, how did the Headless Chickens team come about? How did it start?
It's a bit of a strange one, really. It's all started on a cruise ship one Christmas. Myself and Paul, who calls Sam Flexi, as you find him on socials, we've been going to Airsoft a few times and basically found that, especially if you're going on to like a walk-on day or a standard skirmish day, you know, it's potluck as to who you were playing with, and we're quite aggressive players. We love to push, we love to play the objectives, and you know, we were just finding it really frustrating that we couldn't sort of push on and beyond certain things. So we were kind of drunk on a cruise ship, and we just, I don't even know where the Headless Chicken Squad name came from. We were just basically wanting to not be taken too seriously, have a bit of a play, but it represents the way that we play. We do run around like headless chickens, but there is a methodology to it and different things. And then we were just from there. We've got there was a founding three initially, which was myself, Flexi, and then Paul's son Luke, called Simon Fairness. We kind of started, and very quickly they'd already earmarked a lad called Lawson, who goes by Chewy, because he literally does look like Chewbacca. We basically went to set up as a group of four, so that we knew when we turn up on game days as a squad of four, we can push and sort of move from there, really. And when we first set the idea up of growing the team, we thought if we can get to 6 or 7, you know, that will give us the ability to turn up and play and kind of go from there. And sort of as I was saying offline, we kind of got to about 15 fairly quickly, stayed at that for a fair few months, and then we were at 52 at peak, and then we kind of thought we need to have a bit of clearing of the decks here, because we did take on board quite a bit quite quickly, so we couldn't assess at 47, and we just wanted to have the methodology of turning up, playing the objective, play hard, play fair, ruffle a few feathers, pardon the pun, but also be the same guys that are on site that can help beginners, can help rentals. We're always borrowing kit, we're always helping advice, we'll always try and help site owners whilst we're there, and try and play Airsoft properly, because I think being Paul identified really that Airsoft has actually got a great opportunity. It's in a great time to get involved in Airsoft, because, you know, there's that ebb and flow between Airsoft and paintball, and because of the sort of the military elements and the likes of like Call of Duty and stuff like that, I've always said, for me, it's the ultimate escapism. You know, when you see that first BB whistle past your face, you forget what's happening at work, you forget what you've got going on at home or things like that. you're in the game and you're playing. And if you allow yourself to be immersed in the gameplay, as well as the gun tech side of it and the LARP side of it and the hobbyist side, you know, a day out on a skirmish field is, for me, the ultimate escapism, because you've got the physical aspect, you've got the mental escapism. Again, you don't have to be the fittest, fastest person. You can other elements of skill and things like that with it, really. And that's essentially the origins of the Headless Chicken Squad. But for where we are now to what we originally set up, it's a completely different animal. And we're learning and progressing as we go forward, because we realise that with our numbers that we have now, that we have a different level of responsibility to skirmish days and stuff. If we turn up with 17 and, you know, there's only 50, 60 people, we don't want to be split up. We want to play together, but then we know that we have a responsibility on site, because we're naturally going to have a dominant influence on that day, and we need to make sure that we have a positive impact on that day, as well as trying to get out of the day what we want as well. So yeah, it's a different set of processes and I suppose needs and wants for everybody involved around it, really. So yeah, it's completely different, an uncharted waters from where we originally wanted it to be, sort of 18, 19 months ago when we first formed it and set it up.
Did you ever expect it to grow as much as it did?
Jokingly, yeah. We were like, oh, can you imagine if we get to this? And then all of a sudden it just became, I think what happened was it became a bit of a snowball. We got to kind of like 15, and that was through people that we knew and played regularly with. And then what happened was, as the social side of it, so, you know, we do try and work quite hard on socials. As that grew and as we started having a positive impact on sites, people then started inquiring about joining. And we then were like, well, okay, how are we going to create a joining process? And then naturally it's like the power of network, I think it is, or the power of three, or whatever the word is. One person joins, and they know two other people that want to join, then they know three people. It goes into a snowball. And then I think it was sort of 8 or 9 weeks ago, we kind of got to sort of 50, which was like kind of like a proper watershed moment for us. And we had to sit back and go, okay, this is how we're going to do it. And the good problem that we have now is we don't just, we'll have 3 or 4 teams out at different locations on different days.
Okay,
so like, for example, this weekend we had a presence at Outpost, but then we also had guys that played at Halo Mail Proving Grounds. Because as much as we're all Midlands, Stoke-on-Trent, Warrington, North Wales based as a squad, you know, people do like to go different ways, and there's different events on. Especially if people can't travel 2 hours that particular day, they need to be home for, I don't know, a christening or a birthday party in the afternoon. They've got to do half an hour down the road and stuff. So, yeah, we never expected it to be. We've actually added in ranks now. So we have 1 additional rank, and what that allows us to do is, it's not to kind of, you know, try and create hurdles and objectives for people to achieve. It's just so that we have a little bit of a trust process, because we're very conscious that it's kind of mine, Paul's, and everybody else associated with the team's reputation out on site. So if people are going off and doing their own thing using the Headless Chickens name, we only allow that to happen as long as somebody who carries what we call the rooster rank. So like if you're a rooster within the team, you're basically like a, depending on how hard you want to be on it, you're like the CO for the day sort of thing. Well, you're like our representation on site, and you have the guys that are with you on that time. Just so, you know, last thing I need is somebody from a site ringing up and going, I had 3 of your lads on last week and we had some complaints and stuff like that. At least if we know that we've got somebody who's trusted and responsible on site, I can report to them, and I know they can manage the day well from there. And out of the 47, we currently sit at 15 roosters, which those are people who have shown that they turn up on a regular basis, they turn up and play the right way, they're a good role model, and they're people that contribute and represent the team in a good way. You know, doesn't necessarily mean they're the best players on the planet or they're going to run around bodying people, but whilst they're on site, they are a good influence, and I know that I would trust them to go on to any site owner or any marshal, and if there is an issue, because, you know, everybody gets a little bit red-blooded, they can handle and represent the team in the right way. And that's something that we added in We didn't think we'd have to do that, but we've done that as a remedy because it grew so quickly, and we knew that we couldn't always be on site to deal with every situation and stuff moving forward, really. So, that's kind of where we are at the moment, and there's plans behind the scenes to sort of grow a little bit further as well. But I'll kind of I think that we're a couple of weeks away from sort of unveiling that, I think. Good things, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully the community responds well to them.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I like that idea of having the roosters. That's quite. I think when you start to grow to past a certain point, it is handy to have people there that can kind of, you can check in with and stuff like that, and they can just oversee what's going on.
Yeah, and bounce ideas off, bounce ideas off, as a sort of founding force, so to speak. It's new waters for us. We're not. Yeah. We haven't all got military service. I mean, I've been around team sports all my life, but when you're growing out over numbers of, it's, we've got as many people in our ranks as most sites get most weeks. So managing that is a different thing. And we do have a duty of care to site owners. Everybody else playing on the day, rentals, everything that surrounds it, that comes with it is. We have a duty of care, and to create that, it wasn't to create, a playground or a differential between the two. The rooster is not so much about your quality of play; it's what you represent and how can you represent the team moving forward. Because again, the last thing we need is sort of death by association and things like that. It's just conscious that we try and do it, but in the same thought process, we're just normal lads that want to turn up and lady, sorry Mills if you're watching, we're basically running around the field slinging plastic and playing toy soldiers. That isn't lost with us. We're not, there isn't one person thinks that we're SAS or elite forces SEAL team. We're there running around slinging plastic most of the time with rentals that have never played before, or we have a duty of care to the sport, and we do genuinely care for airsoft as a sport, but we also care of it as a hobby, and we also think as a kind of as a community as well. Like, my partner hates it, but one of the best parts of going through a skirmish day is getting in the pub after, because that's the social part. Essentially, that's what it's there for. We're all, I'm 43 at the start of last week, so I'm not getting any younger, and I can't bounce around the field like some of the 17, 18-year-old lads that play for us. But sitting down and having a pint after the game it's just good. And I know for a fact from social media that's what you girls love as well. You're always in the beer garden after, and that's all part and parcel of it. And essentially that comes back to, like, we call it white line fever. We play hard on the field, but as soon as we get into the safe zone or we get into the pub, we are the nicest people you'll ever like to come across, because we are nice people in general life. We've all got work on Monday, we've all got lives, we've all got other different things, and it's just a matter of kind of being part of that. And we love turning up at new sites and meeting new people and doing stuff like that, because that's what it's the social side of it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's the escapism of other things, and we've all, I think Drew said it in the mentioning there, we're all looking to be around and socialise with like-minded people, and part of that is communicating that moving forward. So
we do try and do our little socials and stuff. I think we did have quite a big one. I can't remember where the meetup was. We had a meetup. And afterwards we were like, we were all going around, we're like, right, we're all meeting at this pub down the road. I think somebody literally went on Google and found the nearest pub, and we were like, if you want to come and join us, like, come along. Like, just everyone that was there, we were just like, let's all go down there. And it's so nice, because when you're like kitting up and you're playing, it's hard to get to know people when you're busy being immersed in the game, or you're trying to load all your mags up and stuff. So it's nice to just be able to relax and actually get to chat and, like you say, socialise with everyone, get to know everyone. And I think that's where then you build those relationships and those bonds with other people. And when you're next in the area, you can be like, oh, let's meet up again and stuff like that. And I think that's where a lot of the friendships I've certainly made have generally started is through the social side of it as well.
Yeah. And ultimately, that's forget what you're in airsoft for. If you're into it for the teching, if you're in for it for the hobby side of it, if you're in for it for the LARP or the actual gameplay, we're all part of the community. Whichever part of it that you associate in, and the socialisation or the safe zone at the back end of it, that is ultimately what it's there for. And there's this big thing about mental health and all that sort of stuff around airsoft. That's the best thing you can do is walk up to somebody, especially if somebody's quiet. And it is difficult. And again, it comes back to what we're saying. If we're turning up with 16, 17 people, whether it's myself or Paul, we feel responsible for those people. We're always checking, is everybody okay, all that sort of stuff. So you get really distracted trying to wind your own bags up and check your batteries are okay. And is your HP tank full and all that sort of stuff. So Marshall's going, come on, we're going out for gameplay. And you're like, oh, I'm still trying to sort such out or something like that. So the only time we do get a chance to do that is there's a lot of organisation go to it is that 1 or 2 hours we get in the pub after. And, you know, I'm not ashamed to say that's the one part that we sort of look forward to.
Yeah, definitely. We've had, I think Alex has managed to jump on while she's at work. She put a comment on saying she met an Italian chicken at Defiant events. He looked after me for the weekend.
Yeah, she met Gianni Gru. Well, he was out was that this weekend just gone?
Possibly. I know, yeah, she went to a Defiant event not long ago.
Yeah, it was. He's a lovely fella. Again, just a classic case of he's been going to airsoft for a long time. Got equally frustrated turning on to walk on sites. Really, really aggressive pushing player. But you know, no matter how good you are as a player, if you walk into a squad of 4 or 5 and you've got no backup, you've got to keep walking back to the safe zone. You can't keep pushing and advancing. So we actually met him, played against him on a game day. Had a couple of good tussles with him. He came over, spoke to us, and I would say in the 3 games he's played for us now, or played with us, the lads absolutely love him. He's like a folk hero, sort of. And everybody sort of loves him, and the chatters alike with sort of Italian sort of turns of phrases and all that sort of stuff. And he's managed to pick himself a new nickname. So that in essence is classic. I think he's only been with us 4 or 5 weeks, but again, he's really embraced the team aspect. And if you speak to him, that's really changed his outlook on airsoft, because he turns up now knowing that he's actually got a bit of a, again, I want to say brethren, but it isn't, because Mills changes that dynamic. We have this ability where there's a community turns up and he hasn't got that fear factor of, is he going to know anybody, who's he going to be playing with and stuff like that. It completely shifts that dynamic of what his experience of airsoft is going to be on that day. And that's, if I was trying to put it in a nutshell, is what we wanted to try and create for airsoft. It is a daunting thing. If you turn on, we go to 6 mil quite a lot, and you turn up there, you play 120, 150 people, and you've only just got into it, it can be really daunting.
Yeah.
If you turn up and you know in that bottom right-hand corner, we've got our big flag up and all that sort of stuff, you walk in and you get the biggest cheer. Hey, it's that sort of different thing. And if you've forgotten something, or if you've got something, it just gives you that community and things like that as well. And it just takes that intimidating sort of factor off. And that was kind of part of what we wanted to do with the team name. Like, we didn't want to call ourselves Delta Force, Warriors, Kill Team, Squadron 18 or whatever. We are the Headless Chicken Squad, and that's how it goes. And there's obviously loads of different connotations now. It's developed to the HCS and different things like that, the chickens and all that sort of stuff. So we have a bit of fun with that as well.
That's cool. Just looking at some of the comments on Instagram. Fusion says hello. Callsign Storm says play the objective.
Adam, here's another one. Yeah.
HCS Watto says, I'm a headless chicken, it hurts.
Yeah. So Watto's one of it. So for those who've watched our podcast, Watto is one of the younger members of the team. And again, he started with us right from started his airsoft journey with us, and is developing really nicely as a player. And, for somebody who didn't really know too much about the sport, he's like a sponge. He just soaks everything up from that point of view and gives us the ability to play in a completely dynamic. If we're playing capture the flag or something like that, we will quite often say to him, give us your primary rifle, he will literally sprint to the objective, and then we might get there 10, 15 seconds later, throw him his rip and go, right, we've already secured that objective. Cheers. It gives us the ability to play in a different way, and it's having those different dynamics to try and go with him. But you might want to ask him who won the one-on-one. He challenged me to a one-on-one at Dirty Dog, and he walked away with his chicken feathers between his legs. So, hi, Watto.
Wendy goes with evening, Cause I'm Darkness, Pete the Tactical Dan, Heavily Redacted, a lot of people saying hello, basically. Yeah, it's been pretty good. Heavily Redacted, so need some chickens down south.
It is something we got. To be fair, one of the we did have an associate team member down there, Connor. We went to Tower. We did a double header. We went to Tower. It's closed now, but it's literally right next door to Plantation. And we took a founding floor down to Plantation. This was last June, and it is part and parcel of the plan. I've had 3 or 4 inquiries about what we want to do in certain different regions. I think in time, yes. But going back to what I said before about death by association, we need to put squads and roosters into those areas. Like I say, we've been up as far as Dirty Dog and played. We love going No Man's Land. We've been to Plantation. If I get asked one more time from Becca and the team from South Coast and Ironside to come down and play there, I've been asked once, I've been 1,000 times, but we'll go down there. And again, it's just anybody can join the Headless Chicken squad. It's just us having the ability to sort of manage that expectation. And if people want to come up and play where we're playing, what we play at Warzone, we play at 6 Mil, we play Phoenix. We do kind of all around that sort of upper sort of Manchester down as far as South Birmingham and stuff like that. If you want to come and jump on, it's very rare. We're more than 2 hours away from most game days. So if you want to come and meet the team and start out that way, you can do. And if you want to help setting up a little bit of a 4 or 6 man team down there and take on board all the things that the Headless Chickens can give you as a platform, from sponsorships and deals and all that sort of stuff, then yeah, just inquire and speak to us. There are a few hoops you need to jump through to get in, but because we want to maintain the integrity of the team. But that's come and get involved.
What is your joining process that you?
So the join. It depends on how you initially interact with us. So, like say for example, I don't know. So let's use Mills as a classic example because she's the closest sort of relationship that I can get to you ladies is. Mills obviously came to us by referral through her partner Rich, who we've known. He's been a marshal at Anzio for ages. We have a local level for ages. So by default, Mills comes by recommendation from Rich. Yeah. He can vouch for her. She automatically becomes a member of the team. If somebody inquires through somebody who we've never met before, they will invariably either inquire through the website or through social media. I will then pass their contact. I'll ask them a few questions. I'll then pass their details on to Paul. Paul will then ring them and have a decent conversation, try and see if there's any red flags or anything there. And then what will happen is we will invite them to our next game day. They won't play as a member of the team. We'll ask the marshals if they can play on our coloured team or banded or unbanded. We will assess them on the day, see how they interact with the team, things like that. If they know anybody, so anybody can vouch for them, test their level of gameplay. Not that is a big thing. If, depending on how that goes, we might want to see them again. If they're just a general good lad or whatever, then they can come through. But then what we're looking for at that point is what's their commitment? How often can they play? What's their involvement? What do they offer to the team? We have had a few instances where people come to the first day, just isn't a fit, and then we'll leave them sort of hanging, and then we let them decide whether or not it's right for them or not, because it's difficult. We don't want to just say to somebody, look, mate, I don't think it's something that's going to be right for you until we've had a chance to go through that process. It might be a 2 or 3 process where you come from, but 95% of the people that are joining the team are through somebody we already know or kind of thing. I think we've only ever had 4 or 5 people apply direct through socials or something like that. So yeah, there is hoops, but 9 times out of 10 we like doing it through association, like through a friend of a friend or whatever. Or we've played against them 4 or 5 times and I'm like, I'm going to poach you, you can come and play for us, that sort of stuff. So it just depends, really.
Yeah.
Someone said explain the hoops. So what are the hoops you have to go through?
I think it follows the main thing. So the hoops are basically turn up, show us kind of what you like as a human being, as a person, first and foremost. What's your commitment to sort of playing? What's your play style? We generally, if you're playing in our team, if our team are just catching you just sat at the back, messing about in the bush and not playing the objective, the chances are that you're not going to be joining the team. And then obviously, ball invariably will get changed or get ready near that person, and we'll be kind of having a chat and finding out the sort of stuff that they're all about and stuff from there. It's not, there's no application form. There's no, at the end of the day, it's a game of airsoft. If it was a case of we have to get DBS checks and all that sort of stuff, I'm pretty sure we're going down that route. But we're not in a situation where we have to do that, or we not that we have to, but we've got no grounds or legal regulation to have to DBS anybody or anything like that. It's literally a case of, are you a good human being? Are you in it for the right reasons? Are you going to be a good or bad influence on the team? And we can invariably assess that either on one day or over 2 or 3 days from that, really. But you'd be surprised how many people turn up and will approach us on a game day, because we do have a massive flag that turns there. And people will say, oh, can I be part of it, and different things like that. So, yeah, I hope that answers the question on hoops. They are hoops, but they're kind of unofficial, they're not like, you're not going to find it on a government website or something.
Yeah.
You don't have to be part of the FBI to get past it.
We have had a comment highlighting a person that's been mentioned recently in a lot of groups of conviction. It's just sort of, I don't know if you want to elaborate on that or not.
So for those of you that have been anywhere near social media in the last 48 hours, we had a gentleman called Nathan Scriven who applied to join the team back in early August, attended a game day that I wasn't at, unfortunately. So I've never had the privilege of meeting, or not privilege. I haven't graced his presence, but attended a game day, left early. Clearly a troubled individual, and we had kind of parted ways with. Sunday's events were extremely disturbing, troubling. It isn't something that we'd ever prepared or think for, and I don't think the airsoft community was. Speaking to people that I have good relationships with, that I would consider to be stakeholders, from sponsors, site owners, admins of airsoft groups and things like that. This is an individual that had ingrained himself into the community, and it's deeply alarming that these people unfortunately are in the community. Isn't something that we want to be part of or associated with, but as an active team, unfortunately, we were always going to be the people that we're going to either have point of contact with. But going back what we're saying about hoops and things like that, it is one of those things that quite a few people in the team that were there on the day that he did attend for half a day did have sort of warning bells, and the communications that had gone on in and around the group at that point were always quite concerning around the individual anyway. So let's just say Sunday and yesterday was a very interesting day. It isn't something that we want to be involved in. It's deeply affected quite a few of the team members, because I've mentioned a couple of times in the last sort of 20 minutes, death by association. And a few people, it has affected a few people that way, because it is one of the most heinous situations that you could ever be exposed to. And all I can hope for is that justice is served and we're all a little bit more sort of vigilant. We have got young members in the team, parents of, we've got a couple of 14-year-old lads, 15-year-old lads that play in the team, and obviously their parents and guardians also play, but we are very mindful and cautious around that. So there was a couple of things where we're kind of quite glad we do have, that sort of process of inviting people, if that makes sense. You come, you have a bit of a test out, and then you kind of ingrained from there, really. So, yeah, not a great 48 hours. We're not hiding from it. I've answered this about 200 times. We have, our stance is, I can't think of anything worse. I haven't got children, but if I have, then obviously I'd have stronger viewpoints on it. I am limited to what I can and can't say on the matter. Yeah, I just hope justice is served, and so our community rallies around and looks after our own, basically. Obviously keeps an eye out for it. So yeah, I hope that answers my question on the stance.
We appreciate you obviously being willing to answer that, and we kind of expected that there might be one or two comments about it, so we thought, well, we'll give you the chance to explain your side of it. Obviously he wasn't actually a member. I think he said he just went on a trial day, didn't he? But
yeah, I did, and that's the thing. I think where the association came from, and this is I mean, adding a little bit more background to it, he'd actually applied to join us because he'd recently left another team that he'd been part of for quite a while, that clearly didn't have quite as much of a prominent social presence. I wasn't aware until somebody actually screenshotted it and sent it to me. And where the association has come from, he'd actually tagged in a post saying that he'd turned up and met some of the team. And it was the first time he'd met them. And then that was kind of in August, and we'd had no sort of interaction with him from that point, other than he was still in kind of some of the social chat groups that we've got. We've got a number of groups, like social communication channels, of which he was in the main channel, where obviously everybody kind of gets to vet them. And I don't want to go into too much, but the 3 or 4 days leading up to the weekend, there was some strange conversations that had gone on between the senior management, just saying that we're a bit weirded out and concerned by this individual, to the point where we had to get we've got somebody who's mental health trained in the team that was basically sending red flags off left, right, and centre. And then obviously what went on Sunday was just, wow. The 4 hours that I actually got approached by one of the Sting team whilst it was actually happening and going live. It was strange. It kind of changed my Sunday afternoon. It'll definitely be a day I never forget. So,
On a bit of a lighter note, have you got any upcoming events or anything like that the Headless Chickens squad will be attending?
We're out every week, so Paul does a brilliant job of creating a sort of 6 to 8 week running order in advance, so the lads know where we're going. There's no mandatory thing to say that you definitely need to go and turn up for those events. Some people do prefer to go off and do their own thing. Like for example, I was out double header last weekend. I went to the Rumble in the Jungle event on the Saturday, and then jumped in on the team game at 6mil on the Sunday. We do allow the freedom to do that. Events, we're out this weekend at Templar. For those of you that have never been, if you are anywhere near Manchester, Stoke, Midlands, it's an exciting new site that's having a lot of money, time and effort and expertise put into it, which is sort of like 3 miles north of Congleton, which is about 20 minutes south of Manchester and about 20 minutes north of Stoke. Great little site there. We're going to a charity event on the 1st of December, which is for Macmillan at the Stan, which is a great indoor site. I've never played with any of the locals. We only went to a private event there. For an indoor site, that's a different level. We will eventually turn up to one of your meets. I know we had a good present at your last time you were at Warzone. We'll turn up to anything. If anybody's got an invite for anything, we'll turn up to anything. We're not scared of a challenge or different things like these private invite games that we've done. They're a different level. You find out, the level of gameplay is really good, and you find out what sites are better played with better gameplay than just normal skirmish days. I went to the Rumble of the Jungle one last week, and all the bat sims and mill sims I've been part of have always been really slow and stagnant, to the point where I got bored. Generally the one I played in was 6 hours, I didn't think I stopped all day. Really, really well run events. I know it was controversial with some of the characters that are involved, but I can assure you they're not as controversial and personal as they are on their online personas. Let's put it that way. But it was basically like a 6-hour skirmish day non-stop. It wasn't like a bat sim. It was literally stuff dropping every 20, 30 minutes. Like you couldn't keep going. And I've never seen so many ghillies in all my life. I reckon out of 170 people on the day, they went, can all the ghillies walk forward? And literally half of like the Sherwood Forest walked forward. It was pretty cool. So it's quite impressive to see. I mean, obviously, because of the people involved, it was always going to have a high number of those. But it just meant that if you were a normal player, you couldn't stand still too long because you knew if you were out in the open, you were getting pinged. So yeah, it's pretty cool. But I think Airsoft needs stuff like that. Like, you know, these sort of events that people put together. It was one of the most, one of the best social events I've been to. We did a networking one at the stand where we met up with the Monastery, T6, the guys from down south, and that was more of a networking and gameplay. But the intensity of the gameplay couldn't have been done for 4 hours because literally we'd have all been dead, literally on our feet. It was that intense that we needed a break, and we were just stood on the roof of the stand overlooking Sheffield, just comparing notes. I've never seen so many southern accents meeting northern. It was pretty cool, to be fair. And obviously we get to met up with some of the sponsors as well. So yeah, it was good. When are your sort of main meetups? I know you got Warzone. Is it 27th?
Yeah, 27th.
Yeah, and then when's your next one? After that, or have you not organised it yet?
We haven't got it in the diary yet, really. We normally do it after we've had that meet up, but then we get on and such.
Yeah, cool.
We like to let the members sort of choose where we end up. So we sort of pick an area of the UK because obviously we're spread out everywhere. We want to try and cover as much of it as possible with all our members. We'll say, right, pick, I don't know, so the Warzone said, right, we're going to head to the West Midlands, pick a site in this area, and Warzone had the most votes, so it's like, right, we'll go there then. Next one will be up north. So last time we were up north, it was Dirty Dog. So we'll see what site gets suggested up there. We're just trying to keep it fair for everyone and make sure members have an opportunity to attend.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned Template before. Cool Sign Stormy, I know he's commented, he said hi. He's one of the head marshals there. Tap him up. I think you girls would really enjoy doing a meetup at Template. It's really ideal. It's really good. It's very accessible because you can literally get it to. It's like 5 minutes off the M6. Great woodland sides. They built like this real good like Alcatraz style prison. It's like proper sick. So it'd be really good to do that. And the actual people that run it are actually. I say this about site owners. Obviously, Airsoft's been around quite a while now, and you do see when you go to some sites that some people have I don't know, they're either tired of it or they're just not putting the money and the effort into it anymore. But then you do see this new breed of site owner, like Stuart at Warzone, Nicola up at No Man's Land, John at Outpost Chester, the lads at Templar, John and the lads at Plantation, the guys that are doing a great job at Ironsight. I mean, I'm sure there's others, but they're the ones that I'm highlighting that are doing a real bit. Joe Skilling's things. These new breed of site owners that are bringing great gaming areas and really nice places to play airsoft. And I think that's the key thing to see in terms of airsoft being. There's always stuff to do, if that makes sense. And that's another bit of advice I give to anybody is if you turn up and play and you only play at your local site, drive an extra 20, 30 minutes up the road because Airsoft has got so many great places to play Airsoft in the UK. Don't think that, if you're thinking, my site's a bit boring or I've not really thought this is like cut out to be, go and try somewhere else. I promise you, like if you think it's stale and boring at the site you're at, the next one down the road won't be. That's the one thing that I found enjoyable was going to try in loads of new different places. Yes, it's confusing for the first morning because you don't really know where you're going and you don't know where the hiding places are and where the good angles are. But after an hour, you've worked and you know where you're going with it. So, that's one of my top tips. Get out there and try different places.
I can back that up. Let's say I used to, when I
Yeah.
first started playing, I was constantly at my local site, and then I ended up I met someone, and she sort of encouraged me to sort of, "Oh, do you want to try out this site? Why don't you just try this site?" And I think I tried over 20 sites in the UK, and I loved it. I loved my travelling days and going to different sites, and then I ended up saying, someone said, "Oh, where do you normally play?" It was actually a site that was about 2 hours away from me. Even I've got a site 15, 20 minutes down the road. And yeah, you do find some really good sites that are gameplays around the UK. So yeah, definitely encourage travelling about.
Yeah, because we all as players have different playing styles, and certain sites suit different playing styles. So, like, if you want a ghillie and stuff like that, going to a walk-on site that is essentially paintball site dressed up as airsoft is probably going to be right for you because the gaming zones are short, tight, and that sort of stuff. Go and find yourself a really nice woodland site where sniping's a walk in the park and a dream. Really, that would be my top tip for that. Really, is just get out and find what gaming style works for you and what works for you in different ways, because there are always different options and something new to explore. Really, I mean, on sites we did a poll last year just as a whim. And it ended up being a bit bigger. Like BZ ended up like presenting Dirty Dog with a trophy on the back of our poll. I was like, it was just a poll on Facebook, but we ended up having that much traction with it. We created like the top 10 outdoor sites, and we did an indoor one. And we've literally just completed the outdoor one. Like, that was the thing, to go to all the top 10 sites, and every single one of them I do think warrant a place on there as well. If you want to go over to our Facebook page and root out the poll and the results, then you're fair enough. And then we're slowly but surely working our way through the indoor ones. Like I'd only ever been to one indoor site, and it was tight, and I mean ridiculously tight. Like, we're talking Hurt Locker tight. Like, there was only 8 players on the site, 4v4, and it was literally everybody was on top of each other. And I thought that was what indoor CQB was. So it basically put me off for a long time. But then, having been to places like HC2, Level 2, the Stan, indoor CQB, and it's only due to lads pushing you to go down that route. You realise that my opinion was only formed by a cognitive response. If you go out and find something new and keep trying something new, then it kind of works for you, really. Me personally, my own preference of playing as an individual is I love outdoor urban CQB, where short, snappy, you're never really engaging with anybody over sort of 30, 40 meters away. And it's always pushing those objectives. But then I find most woodland sites are changing that way. So, like, even if it's woodland, you're still never 50, 60 meters away from close engagement, if that makes sense. They're all creating gaming zones. Yeah, there might be woodland around the outside of it. Dirty Dog's a great example of that, but they're building little game zones in and within the woodland area. So every game day that you go to with Airsoft has got an element of CQB to it. But CQB doesn't have to be running around with a pistol and somebody's lost somewhere. It can be kind of outdoors and enjoying it. And I prefer it because you're out on the outside getting some fresh air, and you can use smokes and flashbangs and all that sort of stuff. So all the cool stuff. You can get the cool toys out in there.
How long have you?
Go on.
How long have you played airsoft for then?
I'm only actually about 2.5, 3 years in. I played a lot of paintball previously. Nowhere near as much paintball as Paul. Paul used to play paintball sort of semi-pro. Like, my hobbyist and sporting background was I played cricket semi-pro and then club professional level for 15, 20 years. And then as I got a bit older and work took over, I can't play every weekend due to work, and as you get older you have responsibilities to partners and families and dogs and all that sort of stuff, and team sports like that don't give you the ability, because you need to be able to play every week and stuff like that. And then I fell into airsoft on the back of that, really, because it gives me the ability to pick it up and put it down when I need to. Yes, obviously the team aspect and the social aspect gives me stuff to do during the week with the podcast and trying to create terrible gameplay videos. Like that's one thing I'm really trying to wrangle with at the minute, is trying to work out, skills on editing and stuff like that. Every time I think I've cracked it, somebody else will bring out a really good video. I'm like, how have they done that? So I'm going to spend time researching that and stuff. So, I'm sort of 2.5 years into it, and I thoroughly enjoy it. And the way I feel about airsoft now is completely different than when I first started, because I think, having so many guys that play with us and are coming along on this journey, we have an opportunity to make a proper positive change to it. And I think airsoft is better now than it was when I first joined it. Maybe that's because I'm looking at it through rose-tinted glasses and I have a better understanding of the wider community. But at the time, I found it at certain times to be, because it was kind of coming straight out of COVID, it was kind of, we didn't really know where it wanted to sit and things like that. But then I see the development of some of the sites and the social groups and some of the companies and products that are on the rise over the last sort of 2 or 3 years. I think it's in a real good footing, and something that I want to sort of push through, because I understand. I think from the outside looking in, airsoft is a little bit weird. Like if you don't understand it, you don't get it. But it's actually not. Like if you look at it from a point of view of literally the skill issue and the sport issue and the techie issue, I know people think, you think running around like a toy shop, but that is the last thing on my mind when I'm running around. Yes, I wear camo because I want to get it, a momentary concealment to get the drop on somebody. But all I'm literally looking to do is, can I get a shot away quicker, or can I use a skill dynamic to get through it and run around for a bit, let off some nervous energy and stuff like that, and kind of get in the bar. That's literally how I play cricket all these years, and that's exactly how I look at airsoft. It's just another way of playing and communicating and letting off some steam, but in a way that allows me to pick it up and put it down. As in, if I can't play for 4 weeks, I can't play for 4 weeks, but then I can play the next 3 and stuff like that. Whereas you can't do that with football, cricket, rugby, or whatever. Yeah. The season is the season, and then you run through. That's why I think airsoft is so amazing. And everybody who I've introduced to airsoft and looks at it is fascinating. Like, obviously, if we have anybody comes into work, I store all my stuff. I'm extremely lucky. I have a nice store cupboard where all my stuff comes. If anybody comes into work or contractors, they're just like, what's this? And then everybody's obsessed with it. It's just like, oh, show me how it works and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, it kind of, from the outside looking in, it is pretty cool, really. That's how it's gripped me anyway.
You briefly mentioned your podcast.
Yeah.
That's going to be starting up soon, or something coming up?
Yeah, so season 2, I said I was only going to have a 3 or 4 week break after season 1, but with a couple of things I wanted to do. So I wanted to upgrade some of the toys that we played with. So I was using a gaming mic, which when I then found in post editing was really difficult. Guests were either really busy over the summer, playing and things like that, whereas I've already got some really exciting guests lined up for season 2. So we're back next week. I will withhold next week's guest to kick off season 2, but we have a few new props and different backdrops and stuff for it, and the way that we're going to do it is slightly different. There was a few things that in season 1 that didn't quite work, but there's some aspects of it that did, and just try and go with it. Again, with the podcast, it wasn't one of those things where I think I can sit here and tell everybody what is right and what is wrong. It's just my viewpoint and kind of interviewing different people to try and signpost people to different things. They're just my viewpoints on the sport that I love, and I'm fairly balanced on it. The amount of stick I get about my call sign as well winds me up through it. It's like, who do you think you are calling yourself the Don and blah blah blah, and I'm like, literally, I didn't give myself the call sign. Paul gave me that, because every time we go on holiday and we see this Spanish juice called Don Simon, like, you must have seen it when you go to the supermarket. It's always in like the foreign aisle, and it's like this crappy apple juice or orange juice that's like And he's like, that's what he always calls me. I haven't got the patches anyway, but I've still got them just as Don Simon on it. And then in time, everybody then translated and picked it up as the Don, basically. And then Trifecta. So we did a podcast for them to end season 1. When I was telling him about how I lend people kits and stuff like that, he was like, "Oh man, you sound like the godfather of airsoft." And then Redacted did me a picture, which was basically, I don't know if you can kind of see it, but kind of like an emblem motif. Something get up of like my iconic boonie and blocks, but based around the Godfather theme tune,
cool.
and obviously that kind of sits in the dump. And I get a little bit of stick for that, but that's not really what it's about. But yeah, the podcasts are good because it just gives me an hour to rant about the sport that I love, and I get to meet some interesting people through it as well, and it gives us the ability to engage with people that you wouldn't necessarily engage with.
Yeah.
Like, obviously interviewing or being interviewed by you ladies. I've done international. So far with the podcast, I've done Japan, America. I've interviewed 2 of the youngest lads on there. Kicking Mustang, whether you love him or you hate him or you're somewhere in the middle, kicked off the 1. We've got another American guest lined up for season 2. I'll let you guess who that might be. There's just different stuff that we try and do with it. It just, it creates us a little bit more of exposure of what we're trying to do and hopefully present airsoft in a good way, which is ultimately what I want to do, because airsoft needs more positivity around it, basically.
That sounds very exciting. Yeah, so you normally that goes out on your YouTube channel, is that right?
Yeah, I've got on the YouTube channel. There's loads of different toys and apps and stuff like that. You can put it out on different things, but I think the main thing is always YouTube, and then I'm always putting short snippets out on Instagram and stuff like that. I think the only thing I might change this time is I might actually put the long format version of it available on Facebook as well. I didn't know you could do that until Trifecta told me. But again, those are the different things by meeting different people. You pick up different nuances and hints and tricks and different things like that with it as well. And again, everybody helps themselves out with the community, because all we're trying to do is have some fun. Do you know what I mean? It's always a bit of something. Nobody's doing it for nobody's making mega money out of it, or nobody's doing things. We're all doing it just because it's something that we're all passionate and enthused about, essentially.
So obviously you mentioned you've interviewed some people from other countries. Have you ever played in another country?
No. We have had an invite to go and play in Europe with Airsoft's most loved character. We will take that up at some point, I'm sure. But yeah, I think the only thing that stopped me doing this is obviously getting equipment there, and then obviously it's time away and different things like that. But I'd love to travel and go and play and things like that. We actually went to Gran Canaria, me and Paul, back in May, and we didn't realise there's actually an airsoft site that Nico and Hades go to quite a bit. Literally a stone throw around the corner. And as we were driving back to the airport, it's like, we literally could have gone and had a game. So yeah, but having said that, it was like 28 degrees. Like I overheat if it's at 18, 19 degrees in the middle of April. So yeah, it would have been slightly different. So yeah, listen, I'll turn up and play. I say this to anybody. I'm not the best airsoft player on the planet, and I don't claim to be. But one thing I'll always say is I'll turn up for any challenge. I'll always be the one pushing as hard as I can. I'll always come back for more. Shoot me in the face, I'll come back and get shot in the face again. Do you know what I mean? We turn up and play hard. I'll always stand up to a challenge. If I get bodied or have my arse handed to me, I get my arse handed to me. At the end of the day, it's just somebody slinging plastic at each other, and that's the skill set. And whether or not I'm upset about it or not, if I'm getting my arse handed to me the first one that buy you beer in the pub, that's ultimately the be all and end all. That's the way I've always been brought up to play sport. We're all like-minded people, and we've always got the same common goal. So yeah, if anybody wants to invite me to go and play airsoft, I'll go. If I can get the time off and stuff like that, is a different story. But yeah, I'm open to embracing anything and everything that airsoft's got to throw at me.
So one question before we wrap up. If there was one thing you could change about airsoft, what would it be?
Ooh. This is what I was talking to you about short-term questions. You know, you're looking for sensational answers. Do you want the sensational answer, or do you want the PC one?
Go sensational.
The sensational one. I would remove anybody that is still in airsoft that has got something negative to say about it, because as much as I love the airsoft community, if you go and find the rabbit holes of Reddit and Facebook groups and stuff like that, there is people who've got nothing better to do other than belittle and upset people. And then when you bump into these people on airsoft fields, they're always the person that's sat at the back, either cheating or not taking part in the game and causing headaches for people from that. Like, if you don't enjoy airsoft and the only thing you have is by creating negativity for everybody else around it, just get out the sport. Like, but I will say, I'm talking about 0.5% of the community there. Like, if you bump in and speak to most people in airsoft, they're all genuine, salt of the earth people who are great people to spend time with. It's just that 0.5 of the naysayers, and that isn't just airsoft, it's everything that you do. I'm not going to say Karens because that'd be offensive to everyone. But yeah, I think in airsoft. I mean, you two might be able to settle a debate here. What's the male version of a Karen?
Oh,
I did see this on Facebook, and it was just like, yeah, you are right.
It's got to be something like Keith or Dave or something. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
it was something like that. Yeah.
So basically, if somebody's running around being like, and let's be honest, the person I've just described to you, I bet you've met one on the last game day you went to, or you've seen on a Facebook. But there's always those people that have only ever got something negative to say.
You'll always.
So we all know the types of people that we are, and then when you actually meet those people, they're all meek and mild, and then they're on the side.
People in the Instagram comments are saying Kyle.
Kyle.
It's the male version of a Karen, apparently.
Oh dear! So if you're called Kyle and you play airsoft,
being chucked in there
time's
now.
up. Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, that and that's a bit. I think literally, if somebody turns out to be like a proper Kyle on his game day, we should just start calling them that. Like, or Jeremy, start calling him Jeremy Kyle. Airsoft has got so many positive things about it. If we've got time, let me tell you this, and I've said this for a long time, and I will probably get cancelled for saying it, but I really don't care. Basically, for me, airsoft is split into two parts, and because airsoft has got the connotations of the hobbyist side of it, is basically you get the people that turn up, they want to play the game days and do the things that they want to, and they're used to playing that competitive element, and they're interested in the win-lose. But then you've also got a part of the airsoft community that is, because in some aspects, through some of the LARP and some of the teching side and some of the hobbyist sides of it, basically they don't really get the competitive elements of playing the win, lose or draw, and they don't actively participate on the game day. They're there because they can go and fire in the range and they can do all those different things, but they have, even though they don't mean to, and I'm not saying they're bad people or do things, they then have a detrimental effect on the game day. If you turn up and you're playing 20v20, but 6 people on your team are literally messing about in a bush over there, that's when you've got a little bit of a problem. And that's where I think we can kind of work out a way of those people coming and enjoying the game day, but without impacting on the actual game itself. So the people that actually want to play the game can get on with it. That's a lot of standard walk-on skirmish days would go so much better. And I'm saying this purely because I have interviewed on the podcast and the site owners that have these problems. They spend there all week putting these games together, and then somebody stands up as a game brief and says, "Yeah, I'll play on Reds," and then they play on Reds. They say go, and they're all messing about, not playing the objective, and you just ruined it for the blue team and the rest of the red team and stuff like that. And it's that split of finding a different balance of events for those guys to go and enjoy the LARP, techie, the range side of it. It's got no competitive element to it because they've genuinely got no interest in the win, lose or draw part of it. And then obviously a separate type of thing of on a skirmish day where you're catering for the people that do want to do the win, lose or draw. from that. That's the thing, that if we could find a balance that would really set apart, because that's the one thing that airsoft has that paintball doesn't. People go to paintball to play the games. They don't stand there to start comparing paintballs and markers. They're there to play. Whereas airsoft has that extra dynamic of, because of the one-on-one replicas and all the other toys that come with it, they're there concentrating on that, not the actual gameplay part of it.
Well said.
So it's been nice knowing the airsoft industry. That'll be really handsome. So
no, a lot of comments are all positive, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Watto said cancel him, but apart from that.
Yeah, it's just because he knows he's going to get bodied next time he challenges me to a one-on-one. I'm still waiting for Mossy to turn up for that one-on-one. So, but those are the sort of things, like, we have the banter within the team, but I tell you now, like, whenever any single person in the team has got problems, like, again, I don't want to go too much into it because obviously there's the privacy aspects about obviously the inner sanctum, and I don't want to highlight to anybody, but when people in our team are having problems, and we do have people that, you know, don't feel great some of the time, is they will all rally around, you know. And I know people that have joined our community, our team. Our team isn't just about the people that turn up on a Saturday and Sunday and play 6 hours of airsoft. It's about people who, on a cold, wet Tuesday, have got nothing better to do, they're a bit lonely, or, you know, they're not having the best time at the moment, or, you know, when things are a bit tough out there in the world. There's 47 people that will all wrap arms around them, you know, and they are part of. Pardon, coughing. I don't want to say brethren, because obviously we've obviously got Mills in there, and we are obviously open to any of the females that want to join, but it is like a group togetherness, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And naturally, people have affiliations closer to other people, but, you know, there isn't anybody in our team that I would think would feel ostracized or anything like that. And we are there for people. Do you know what I mean? Even though we've all may have our own problems and stuff. That's the proudest thing I am about the team and the squad. Like, they're a good set of people, and I know from the outside looking in with eyes on that, you know, there might be a bit of skepticism given stuff that's gone on in the last 48 hours, but I would challenge to a man, you won't find a better group of individuals than the 47 people that I'm proud to say are part of the Headless Chicken squad. That's, you know, and if, you know, we've ever had a negative impact on anything in the sport, people can come and tell me or speak to me about it, and I will address it and I will deal with it. But, you know, I like to think we have a positive impact wherever we go. And the fact that we have 47 people, 47 individuals from all different walks of life. We've got active police officers, we've got solicitors, we've got mortgage advisors, we've got people that work in fashion, we've got truck drivers, we've got factory workers, engineers, cake bakers, mills. We've got all sorts of stuff going on in the team, but they all come together for one like-minded hobby. And we all come together for each other. Like, I'm looking, my actual phone is going mental here because they're all sat playing COD and stuff like that. It isn't just about the game day. They've created all the different factions within the squad that they give themselves something to do, and it kind of gives them a common place.
Mills
and I'd like to
just
think that they call home.
Sorry, Mills has just commented then a family who all keep on at me for bloody cakes.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. I still haven't tasted one. She brings one to every game day, and I haven't tasted one yet. So, because every time she puts them, in fact, she was in my car when we drove to Dirty Dog. How the hell I drove 4 hours to somewhere, and we had cupcakes in the car, and I never actually got to have one. So her and Rich must have been sat in the back, embezzling them to themselves. So I'm told the cakes are very good, but. I can't give you an honest assessment on that. I don't give rigged reviews, despite certain people. I need to taste one before I can review it, Mel. Sorry.
That's cool. We will have to wrap it up there. I'm not sure how much longer Instagram will keep us streaming for. Cool. But no, thank you ever so much for coming on the podcast. Really appreciate chatting with you.
No, thanks. Like I say, thanks for having me. Thanks for everybody watching. Literally, whether you're male, female, get involved with what these ladies are doing. They have a positive impact on the sport to a group that is grossly underrepresented. And if you go to most game days, there's more ladies on site than you like to think or you notice. So yeah, get on board. What they're trying to achieve is good, and yeah, they are a shining light in the sport as far as I'm concerned. And I haven't even been to any of their game days yet, so I'm just saying that from the outside looking in, and the very brief introduction that I've had to UCAL from afar. So yeah, get involved with them.
Thank you very much. And just to quickly highlight, we've got to mention at the beginning, we will be doing a giveaway when we hit 3,000 followers on Instagram. So just keep
what you at currently?
I think we're about 25 followers away, something like that. Not a lot.
Not many.
Right. So if you're part of the Headless Chicken Squad and you're not following them, please jump on and smash that follow button. Let's see if we can get over to 3,000 today.
Definitely. Nice. Cool. Thank you. Appreciate that. But yeah, thank you everyone for watching. Really appreciate it. Thank you ever so much, Simon, for coming on. We really appreciate it as well. Thank you everyone for commenting. And yeah, we will see you next time, hopefully 2 weeks' time. And keep your eyes peeled for who we have next. Thank you very much, everyone. See you soon.